Playing conditions. Jason Ferguson's about to roll his eyes because he's been asked about this by the journalists. He's been asked live on the BBC. Jason, we are coming to you. A couple of very vociferous comments from the players. Sean Murphy in particular, absolutely has the right to speak his mind, and he clearly doesn't feel that enough is being done. This is your right of reply. What is being done about the variation in playing conditions? And we're talking about players who've won matches here in York as well as lost, criticising the tables and the way they've been playing and the kicks and the bounces.
I mean, let's just separate the two issues. We have a great venue here. It's a venue we've been to before. We know players are getting frustrated because of playing conditions here, and we understand that. But also, they're frustrated from the European Tour events where we have a very short window to do an event with a greater number of tables. So we're coming in very quickly, setting up 11, 12 tables, and then we're leaving a few days later. It is much more difficult to put up a billiard table and make sure it's perfectly level at a European Tour event because of the amount of time it takes for that table to settle, to get used to the atmospheric conditions, and all these things are causing us a problem. The actual equipment that we use is the best in the world. There is no question of that. It is the issue of going from one venue to another and how we treat that equipment and how we prepare that equipment for those events, which we have to get to the grips with. Now, we are testing new products because we're using natural fibres, wood, slate. The cloth is made from wool. All these natural fibres are affected by weather. The issue is, can we, by treating each event differently, can we, by treating the balls differently, perhaps by using different cloths, can we tackle some of these problems? I think we can, and I think it's an evolving thing. We are trying new things. We've tried applying various finishes to the snooker balls. We've also, as you know, been testing a brand new cloth here this week. This has been in the making now for quite some time, working very closely with our suppliers. They're very proactive with us. We have a mystery cloth, as I'm calling it at the moment. It is based on an anti-static theme, which in theory should mean the balls should pick up less particles, whether that be particles from the cloth, from the carpet, whatever, and it should reduce the number of kicks. So that's one thing. So we are actively doing things about it, and as I say, I know Sean was very frustrated this week, and I thought some of his comments were a little bit out of order this week, simply because he knew fine well, especially after an hour's conversation I had with him on the phone the day before about what we were doing. He knew we were testing things here this week, so a little bit frustrating from my part as well.
Hector, let's bring you in. Would you say a disproportionate number of players have been talking about conditions in their post-match interviews? And is there a case here, there's no smoke without fire?
Well, I would say there are two very good barometers on this issue. One is the media office, the media centre, our press room, and the other one is probably Mike's tournament office, because we both hear, literally within minutes of a match finishing, what the players think. And sometimes they would say more to Mike, and sometimes they would say more to us, because it just depends on whether they're more comfortable talking to the media or the officials. And we hear straight. And now there have been a lot of complaints this week. Funnily enough, not every round. It's been sort of almost alternate rounds, the way it's gone this week. And we've had players who've won 6-0, 6-1, using some pretty strong language. So I think there is an issue. I think what I would say to Jason is I don't think anybody thinks that nothing's been done. Nobody thinks that nobody cares. But the example I would give, you look at other sports. If, say, Roger Federer wasn't happy with the grass at Wimbledon, something would be done about it pretty quickly. There'd be a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of investment, a lot of research. I think it's just more of everything, quicker to get the players what they need as soon as possible, because they are the pros, they're the experts, and I think Ken would agree with me that sort of kicks and bad bounces is that's not what you train all year for. On these big tournaments, if you can't play the shot you want to play and you lose confidence, that the players they need better than that. So I think the process is moving in the right way, but it's probably just a bit more and a bit quicker of everything.
Yeah, I mean, when I played on Tuesday, the first day of the qualifiers, which is always the best day, I think, to play. First or second day, because the tables are always pristine, completely pristine. First day was absolutely beautiful. Came back and played in that room on the Saturday, and it was like a completely different table. Now, I don't know what makes the big change. Kicks. I think kicks are part of the game. I think you can maybe reduce the kicks with the static cloth, maybe a little bit, but you're still going to get kicks. They've been there from year one, and they're always there, and they're part of the game. And players, they're players, but sometimes they add to the drama of a match as well, you know, and you just have to get on with it. I don't think you can really do much about kicks, but bad bounces and rubbers and the cloths, I think the cloths change, you know, after a few days. They get worn very, very quickly, you know, because they're super fine cloths and they're getting worn very, very quickly, and I think that's has a lot to do with the bad bounces. So I think a lot of research has to go not only for the kicks but for the bad bounces on the rubbers, because I don't know how a table can change dramatically from one day to the next, and that's exactly the way it did. The first day was absolutely beautiful. The fourth or fifth day was like terrible, you know, and I think that's more frustrating for a player. You know, a kick, you know, can change a match and can cause you to miss a ball, but when you get consistent bad bounces, that is much more worse, and I think more effort should be done into trying to correct that problem rather than looking into the kicks and the polish and the balls, because players, apart from Sean Murphy and a few others, the general consensus between the players when they introduced the polish of the balls, they didn't like it at all. So even though a small minority want polish of the balls, the general consensus of all the players, they don't want the polish. They're more concerned about the bad bounces and the kicks. If they can reduce them, well and good.
Yeah, it's interesting debate, the bad bounce, because the bad bounce really is purely an increased friction between ball and cloth. Now, we've had a couple of scientists look at this, and we've got, you know, we've had it shown us on a table. If you apply a polish or something to the ball and reduce the friction between the ball and the cloth, that will stop the bad bounce. And how that works is as a player strikes the ball, when the table's brand new and it's first been put in day one, there is sometimes a little bit of oil or a little bit of a sheen on the cloth just as it's laid. And once that wears off, that's when the ball starts to grip the cloth more. So for day one, a player strikes the ball skids across the cloth rather than rolls across the cloth. And this, as it reaches the cushion, it skids off the cushion, and then it starts to roll forward. And this is what you get, the slight deadening of the ball off the cushion. And the players like this. This is how the tables should play perfectly every time. Now, once that starts to wear off, a number of reasons. Changing the weather we had this week caused horrendous complaints from the players about changing the tables. That day, you know, the cloth starts to pull up a little bit more with your fingers because there's a little bit more moisture in the air, and the ball at that point is now gripping the cloth when you strike it. This is what the players say: it feels heavy, because they have to push the ball and it has to roll from the moment they strike it. And as it's rolling to the cushion, it's rolling up to the cushion and it's rolling back off the cushion, giving it more speed as it leaves the cushion. There's the bad bounce.
What's been the vibe in the tournament office then? Because we heard Hector talking that you guys
the guys
can
do
get
come
the
in and
full
talk to
force.
us, and basically they'll come in and they'll comment mid-sessions and things like that, because they do tend to spend time in our office. And as Ken said, conditions changed in certainly the sports hall throughout the week, because we try and keep conditions to 19, 21 degrees, but we've had such a fluctuation in temperatures, humidity and things like that. We're trying to maintain a level across both arenas here. And from an afternoon where it was 10, 12 degrees outside, where in the evening it drops to 2 or 3 degrees with heavy rain and wind, the conditions do change, and we're at the mercy of the atmosphere, really. So that's difficult. In terms of cushions and things like that, where we've got consistency, Jason's introducing some more initiatives to try and help that go through and solve those issues, and we're going to try them out in Gibraltar. So hopefully we'll get some more feedback, get some more information, some more data, and come back to the players as soon as possible.
Well, it's a question of watch this space on that one. Our thanks to Jason, to Hector, to Mike, and to Ken Doherty. We could have kept this going for about an hour and a half, but we've got a world-class tournament to get finished here in York. Thanks very much, gentlemen. To be continued, I think, on all three topics.